With us right now, Keira Poulsen. You're found on the web at KeiraPoulsen.com. Keira, you own a publishing house. You're CEO of a publishing house, and you kind of do a lot of work in spiritual leadership. So let's talk about that. Keira, thank you so much for joining us. You're also in the Boise area.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much.
I have a friend who does real estate there and have said that it is just a madhouse right now.
I know.
Everybody wants to come to Boise.
We're so lucky. We decided to move here last year at the beginning of the pandemic, and we got this magical piece of land, and now it's like skyrocketed. So I feel so blessed that we got this spot.
Yeah. So Keira, from a high level, go ahead and explain what you do.
So I help women who are light leaders. So they have deep, powerful messages that need to come into the world to transform humanity, bring their work through a published book, and then I help them create a full body of work off of the message of their book through programs and podcasts and coaching businesses, and really help them become these successful leaders of light that the world needs.
And how do you do that? Do you work individually? Do you have group programs?
So I have a mentorship program. I only take a handful of those. That's one-on-one. But then I have a mastermind where I bring in all these amazing women. We meet twice a month. They all use this amazing course I created, and I help them really learn how to receive their work rather than figure it out in their minds. That's the distinction that changes all of my work, is that when we learn how to receive intuition, everything goes a lot easier and it comes through quicker. So I help women actually write their books in 2 months. Every woman I work with writes their book quickly, easily because of this distinction.
Yeah. So we would also mention that you are in publishing. So how does that part work?
So I created a full publishing system where I have publishing specialists who take my authors through the publishing process. Really simple, really easy. We created a whole done for you publishing process so that all of these women who write their books, they don't get stuck. Because what I see happens is that authors bring their work to life and then they get stuck, because all of the formatting and editing and book cover, everything gets really messy for them. And that creates like a dead end. So what I did is like, I look at it as like an all-inclusive resort, like just show up and we're going to take care of it from beginning to end. And it allows women to really publish their books with ease.
Well, that sounds nice.
Yeah.
So Keira, if I want to be in a position where I'm receiving more, what do I need to be doing?
So this is where I love to play. I believe that if you create a space in your home, in your yard, your land that you dedicate to what I call sacred space, where every single day you go there and you go in, you connect inside in your soul, you connect to the divine, whatever that is for you, and make time to have this connection daily, it creates this strengthening of your receiving muscle. Just like going to the gym, going over and over and over strengthens your muscles. If you can every day strengthen your receiving muscle, you'll watch not only just your book, but content comes through so much easier because you're now in the mode of receiving.
Yeah. Okay. What's the next step? I'm with you so far. Let's keep going down this rabbit hole.
Yep. So you create sacred space every single day. And then you have, I call it my creative sacred process. So what this is it's what I use every single time I'm going to drop in. I used it before we podcast right now. I used it before I'm going to write something, even for Instagram. And what it is I drop in physically and spiritually. So I use physical tools to help my spiritual self know it's time to receive. So how that is, I use that through smell, and I invite women to like grab an essential oil or something that really like resonates with them, and only use that oil every time you're going to receive. So it's kind of like we prime ourselves. Like when I get dressed for the gym, I know I'm going to the gym. I don't get dressed for the gym and think I'm going to go to a party. Like you show yourself what's going to happen by what's happening outside of you. So if you can smell this smell every time you choose to receive, it's going to drop in this ability to go, oh, that's what's happening right now. And then I invite them to do a little bit of grounding in their bodies. So taking a deep breath in, getting into their bodies, out of their minds, because the mind is the hurdle. The mind is what creates writer's block. This is why people get stuck over and over, is because they get stuck here. But if they could drop into their heart, then things don't get so sticky. So I have them take a deep breath in, drop into their heart, to use the smell. And then I have a few other tools of, like, call it the prayer of light, calling in our spiritual team. And as soon as you do that, everything starts to move through easier, because it's something you do every single time you're going to receive. Some people call it priming. For me, it's just awakening that part of my soul.
Yeah. So is it just about, grounding, being present, and are we visualizing, or you help me with these next steps here?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just walk you through it.
And explain like I'm 5 too.
Okay, perfect. So I use something called the prayer of light. This is something that just came to me in my creations. And it's something I do every single time, where I guess you could say it's part of visualization. I ask that light will pour over my ears, that I may spiritually hear what needs to be heard. I then ask that light will be poured on my third eye, because I work a lot in chakras. So that I can have access to all of my gifts, because our gifts live in this chakra of the body. And then I also ask the light will cleanse my hands, that I may write what needs to be written. And what happens is, when you do this tool, it is a visualization, but it's also like bringing presence to the areas that's going to bring forward your work, right? Kind of like you always wash your hands before you cook. It's kind of like we get into all these.
Keira, I do. I want you to know that. Should I ever prepare food for you?
So
we hope that others do as well.
Most people should wash their hands before they cook. Same with receiving. Imagine if you could just look at energy all around you, and you're going to the grocery store, and you're going to work, and you're dealing with your kids and all of this stuff. Your energy is going to get a little bit messy. And then to try and go and receive in a messy state, it's not going to be as easy. So that's why I love this prayer of light, is it's just a nice clean cleanse, so that I can receive and go forward and do the work I need to do without all the mess that I picked up throughout the day.
Yeah. In our world, it can be really easy to constantly live in a frantic state, where we're like, I got to do this, right? And we have our to-do list. We're stressed out with what we have to do. That can absolutely burn you out. And, I guess, are we talking about being more of a passenger to the universe, or help me reframe, if I feel like overwhelmed?
So what I like to call it is a vessel of light, right? That we get to be a vessel of light if we choose to be, which means that we get to be like a conduit for light to come through, which really shuts down this whole idea of like, do. There's so much that needs to be done. Instead, there's so much that I can receive and then share with the world. I'm a big believer that if we open up to this beautiful divine light that's there in the universe here, ready to bring in all the ideas, all the intuition that everyone receives. And all of a sudden we get out of this to-do list, and we get to expand into a space of miracles, because we're just being a vessel for light. Does that answer the question?
I think so. To someone who's been listening to this and they go, this is all woo-woo.
Yeah, totally. It totally is woo-woo, right? This isn't mainstream, but this is why it works. How many people do you talk to who says, yeah, I wrote my book in 2 months? Not very many people.
Right.
Because this is outside of the box. Sure, I can tell you all day long how you can format your book, how you can write your book, and it's going to be the strategy, and that's super rad, and it's going to take you a really long time. But if you learn how to do the woo-woo stuff, which is really just tapping into energy and the spiritual realm that is here, things become easier. And that's why all the women I work with write their books super quick, because they stop doing it the mainstream way and they do it a different way.
Yeah. You know, you can go back to Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, and he's got a chapter where he talks about how, you know, these great titans of industry would close themselves in a closet for an hour or two and just ponder, meditate, you know, connect with source, you know, however they framed it. And it was in those moments that they had their biggest flashes of inspiration, right? Which, you know, when we take that moment to be still, like, you know, it's like, again, this part isn't woo woo, right? It's like, you know, we get great ideas in the shower. We get great ideas when we're just out for a walk and we turn off all the other noise and we're just kind of alone with ourselves and, you know, try to, you know, connect with source, you know, or whatever it is for you, God, you know, whatever that is, wherever intelligence comes from. But there's something that, you know, these flashes of inspiration, where do they come from? I don't know. But, you know, if we can put ourselves, take the time to put ourselves in that practice, like, and in that state on a regular basis, I find that it's a lot more, say, grounding. It's just, we feel less, I feel less stressed than if I'm just constantly going through my to-do list and I'm constantly in a reactionary state, as opposed to I am co-creating, right? And I'm coming up with these great ideas. That's, I don't know. I would just much rather be in that state of abundance rather than, you know, always trying to just keep up. Because I talk with a lot of people who are just, they're stressed out of their mind because they have all this work and they're scrambling and they're constantly out trying to scrounge up business, when it's like, wait a minute, what would happen if you just put yourself in a position where the business could come to you? And I know that sounds like a what, but there's absolutely something to it.
100%. I'm reading for the third time, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I think that's the title of it. It's Joe Dispenza. Have you heard of this book?
I haven't, no.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And he talks so much about this right here, right? Like that you are the creator of all that's around you. And the more you feel it, the more it comes into you. And that's really what I see, is that, you know, I've been a business owner for 4 years, and the first few years were just hustle, 24 hours a day on top of raising 5 kids and just pure burnout. And when I began to stop doing so intensely, and I began to just receive what there was to receive, because I only have my life experiences to build off of. But if I can open up and receive to the universe, to the divine, this beautiful, brilliant light that is here, that gives us all the insights that we have, I have so much more access to more insights, to more success, to serving more women who need my work. And that's the piece that is just magic. It's magic in writing your book. It's a magic in running your business. It's a whole new way of doing things.
Yeah. Yeah. This is, that book, by the way, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, 2012, it's been out for a while. It's got over 8,000 reviews on Amazon. So there's something to it there.
Yeah. It's a powerful book.
Yeah. So, Keira, someone that's been listening to our conversation, they're like, "Hey, how do I take this next step? Like, where would you recommend that person? Obviously, they could go to your website, but where should they start digging in?"
So I am giving a freebie out to everyone. It's a guide on how to write your book in 2 months. It is literally everything that I teach women how to do. And they get a bonus 30-minute session with me. So I would say start there, because it's going to lead you through the process. Sure, you can use it to write your book, but really it's just the process of receiving. So maybe you don't want to be an author, but you do want to receive more insights, intuition. Maybe you want to receive better content to put out in your marketing. use these tools because they're just going to prime you to receive better things. And book your 30-minute bonus session with me, and we can chat more about your own personal experience and how to make that work.
That's awesome. That's awfully generous. KeiraPoulsen.com. That's Keira Poulsen, Poulsen.com. Keira, thank you so much. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, this has been so fun. Thank you so much for having me on the show.